Have you ever started something with a lot of motivation, a goal, a new plan, a new direction, and then a few weeks later, nothing? Focus slowly disappeared. Not because you stopped caring about your goal, but simply because life happened. Life is constantly happening, and we keep forgetting that. Those times when work needs attention, family needs attention, unexpected things happen. Yes, life. And before you know it, the goal that felt so exciting a few weeks ago just stepped into the background. It's not in sight anymore. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Sarah, and I help midlife women stop feeling scattered and overwhelmed and create a clear 12-week plan for their life and business. Now, this happens to almost everyone, not because people lack discipline or commitment. And that's something that we hear a lot, that we're not moving because we're not committed enough, or we don't have the discipline that it takes. That's not true, because focus naturally fades when there is no structure to support it. That's just what happens. So when goals exist only as ideas in our head, they compete with everything else that's going on in life and also in our head. And life is always full. One of the most important parts of the Life Mastery 12-week method is something that is so simple, it's almost ridiculous. It's weekly awareness. Instead of thinking about your goal occasionally, you reconnect with it every single week. You simply ask yourself three questions. These three questions: what kind of progress did I make this week? What challenged my focus? And what matters most next week? That's it. These are the three questions you ask yourself every week so that your goal stays front and center. This weekly rhythm keeps your attention connected to your priorities, whatever they may be. When we reconnect with our goals regularly, something very powerful happens. The goal stops being a very distant idea and it becomes part of your weekly life, your weekly ritual. We make small adjustments and we see big momentum. And that's what's going to change it, because then your brain is going to start to see the progress and it's going to keep the focus on that. So if you're trying the 12-week planning approach, try this simple practice. At the end of each week, take 10 minutes to reflect. That's all it takes, 10 minutes. You don't want this to become something that's going to overwhelm you more. Okay? So just ask yourself, what moved forward this week? What distracted me? And what is the most important step for next week? Remember to write this down, because it's important to reference back whenever you start to waver or you start to think about new projects or start losing focus of what you want. And let me tell you, this habit alone, this small thing, these 10 minutes can absolutely change how consistent you feel. One thing that I also think is very important to mention is that no one stays laser focused on one thing for 12 weeks. And the reason is we all wander, we all lose focus. But that's okay, because what we really need is to have a way to go and get us back to our focus. Sometimes think we can multitask. We really can't. And it's important that we know that about ourselves, that multitasking is not a thing, because it's one thing to focus 100% on your goal, on what you're doing, on the steps to achieve that goal. And it's another thing to have the 100% being distributed through five different things. Now you're only giving 20% of your focus to each one of those five things. So the traction is not the same. You are not going to make the same progress on both of them. It will be very difficult to see progress when you are trying to do five things at the same time than when you are doing one thing. This does not mean you cannot have multiple projects, or this doesn't mean that if you have a full-time job you cannot start a side hustle or a business or vice versa. No, what this means is when you are working on your full-time job, you stay there, you focus on what you're doing, because you do not want to be thinking about it when you leave. Because when you leave, you are starting your side hustle. So when you are working on your side hustle, focus on that. Leave the work, leave the family, leave everything, and just focus on that. And when you are with your family, focus on your family. Don't be thinking about side hustles or work or this or that, or trying to send 10 emails and then voice message someone and then looking after the kids and making dinner, whatever it is. And I understand that sometimes we need to do that. But remember, when you are making dinner, you have to pay attention to what's going on in those pots and pans, because otherwise everything will just boil over. We don't want that. And, when we are working on our side hustle, we want to focus on that, because that hour that you have per week or 30 minutes per day that you have to work on your business, you really need to work on your business or your side hustle during that time without distractions. And that's what focus means. It's when you're doing something, be 100% into that thing. I hope that makes sense. I also want you to know that life will interrupt you. Life will happen. Everything will fluctuate. Unexpected things will appear. The goal of the method, it's not perfection. It has nothing to do with perfection. It's simply returning to your focus again and again. That's the magic, that you have that ability to refocus. And it's easier to do that when your why is very present, but also what your goal is, what you have already done, what you're doing, and what you're going to do. It's important to keep that in mind, so that you don't keep going back and wondering on what did I do, what am I going to do, what am I doing, right? So it's important to have that centered. And once you spend those 10 minutes a week just going over these 3 questions, believe me, it's going to change the way you look at your business. A lot of people keep talking about reinvention. Now, reinvention very seldom happens with one big bang. It just doesn't. What happens is there's a lot of small things that need to happen, small steps that come together to create that reinvention, that change that you want. And it's the consistency that you put into this. It's those small steps, and keep doing them and keep doing them, and the next one and the next one and the next one. And that's what's going to really make a difference. It's not a one big event and that's it. It has nothing to do with it. So remember, the things to ask yourself are, in those 10 minutes a week, what moved me forward this week, what distracted me, and what is the most important thing next week. Keep those in mind. Keep those answers that you get in mind, because those are going to be the reasons, the things that are going to bring you back to your goal, so that you can focus on what's right in front of you, right? What you need to be doing right now, not next week and not the week before, right now. Okay. And remember, it's not a big event. It's not a big bang thing. It's small steps and consistency. Consistency is key, because if you only have 30 minutes to dedicate to your business, be it. But in those 30 minutes, be very intentional, very focused on what you're doing. Don't multitask. It's not a thing anyway. You're just getting distracted. So remember that. And a clear season of focus. That's what you will have once you put all these things in place. And just like that, this video completes our reset series, where we explored how to bring clarity and momentum back into life by focusing on the next 12 weeks and the next 12 weeks only. We talked about how overwhelm happens, how to choose your focus, how to set your priorities, and how to create a simple plan. If you're curious about trying this approach, start with the questions we discussed earlier. Please let me know in the comments, what is one area of your life you want to move forward in the next 12 weeks? Once you know this, you're halfway there, my friend. I'll see you in the next video.